Welcome to Confrontation of Calling, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of living out your purpose. I am your host, Dianne Reid, and in this show, we're diving deep into the raw truth about confronting, contending for, and confirming your calling. Get ready for real conversations about the highs, the lows, the difficulties, the fears, the triumphs, and the victories, about walking boldly in who you have been created to be. No fluff, just the powerful, unfiltered truth and reality of what it takes to thrive in your calling. Welcome back to another episode of Confrontation of Calling. I am your host, Dianne Reid. I am so excited to have you back here. I am coach, author, consultant, speaker, and above all, I am a child of God. And we're on episode 8, and I'm so excited. 8 is one of my favorite numbers. Stands for new beginnings, and I am excited for those of us who are walking into something new at this time. I just feel like the Lord is doing something new in all of our lives. So behold, He is doing a new thing. If you're new to this channel, please make sure that you comment, you like, you subscribe. If you're new to listening to me on any of the podcast platforms, absolutely like, rate, review. I think that's what you do on those platforms. Just make your opinions and concerns heard, and absolutely share this episode with anyone that you feel will benefit from it and whose life will be changed from it. So I thank you for joining us, and let's jump right back into it. Let's jump into today's episode. So like always, I will start with some type of personal experience, and then we'll jump into some examples from the Word of God. The Lord has been reminding me and continues to remind me that I don't need to have all the answers to obey Him. The idea of walking by faith is that we are walking knowing that we don't have all the answers per se, but we walk with the one who is the answer. So a lot of this journey in trusting Him and in obeying Him, a lot of my pushback to the Lord when I'm having conversations with Him is that I don't understand how this is going to happen. I hear what you're telling me. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're calling me to do, but I don't know how to get to that end goal. Where are the processes? Where are the methods? What is the timing? All the questions that arise when the Lord is asking you to do something or walk in something that He's already created you to be. And it's happened in different phases and different seasons of my life. As the Lord calls me to do a new thing, all the doubts start to arise. All the concerns start to arise, because as humans, especially as me being a logical person, I like to have processes in place, especially me being a problem solver. I like to have tools in place in order to accomplish a goal. So when you're telling me to do something and I don't have the methods or I don't have the processes, I get a little anxious. And I feel like that's true for a lot of us, just human nature. We want to know the answers because we think the answer will make us comfortable, when comfort is only found in God. So I have to reflect on all the things that the Lord has told me to do. You've been with me these past couple of episodes, quitting my job and building my business and doing all those things. I wonder if the Lord had told me all the things that I had to do in that process, if I would have said yes. So actually, Him not giving me all the answers, Him not giving me every step-by-step playback, actually protected my yes. So what is the Lord not giving you full perspective on? in order to protect your yes in this stage. Because ultimately, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. But sometimes the in between of obeying him and him working all the things to our good, some of those things may not feel good. Some of those things may be painful, actually, but he's using all of those steps, all of those yeses to work together for our good and for his glory. So I want to come after this myth of clarity, this idea that you obey once you're clear. That's not how it works. There is instruction that the Lord gives us, and we obey the instruction step by step. We may have the maybe word that was spoken over our lives or the understanding of who God has called us to be, but we don't know what the details, we don't know what each step looks like. All we have is the last step that the Lord gave us. And that is where our responsibility lies. He is the God over our future. He gives us hope and a future. Our responsibility is to obey him step by step, to follow Jesus step by step, which means that I only need to know the next step. I have this goal in mind. I have this understanding I have this somewhat understanding of what the Lord is calling me to, but I don't need to understand how we're getting there. I don't need to understand who's going to be there along the way. I don't need all of that information in order to obey his next step. So how many of us are refusing to start moving because we don't have everything we think we need? That was what the Lord reminded me literally last month. Dianne, you have everything you need. You don't need the resources you think you need. You don't need that connection you think you need. You just need to obey me in what I've told you to do. And watch how I fill in, watch how I order your steps in such a way to complete the picture that I gave you, to complete the dream that I have given you, to complete the vision that I've given you. He is the God who has given us the dream, who has given us the vision, who has given us the picture. My responsibility is to walk step by step with him. And yes, there is absolutely wisdom to planning out and to coming up with strategy. And that comes through being with the Lord and spending time in his presence and aligning yourself to what he has said. Absolutely. But in tandem with that, there are steps that you just have to take, even when you don't fully understand, even steps you haven't even planned out, because he is directing you in that direction. So you plan, but then you pray and you consult with him to see if your plans, if your strategy, if your step-by-step process aligns with what he's doing. You think you may need to go right at this moment, and he's saying, be still. You may think you need to go left at this moment, but he's telling you to go right. So do you trust him do you trust the Lord more than your plans? Do you trust the Lord more than your need to have clarity? And I'm speaking to myself as I'm speaking to you. And the case study, there's many case studies that we can look at in the book, but let's look at Abraham, for example. The Lord calls him away from his father's land, away from all the things, and tells him that he will produce many generations out of him. There will be many nations that come out of him. He will be blessed. That the Lord will make him into a great nation. This is found in Genesis 2. So the Lord is telling Abraham that to leave your relative's land, to leave your father's house, and the Lord will show him and make him a great nation. And he's telling him all these things, but he's not really telling him how he's going to do it. God is telling Abraham all these things, but he's not telling him how. He's not telling him the timing. He's not saying by next year, boom, you're going to have all the things that I promised. He's not saying in this time, you'll have to leave your cousin. He's not telling him all the intricacies that are going to play out in Abraham's story. But Abraham obeys anyway. And what happens is, as Abraham obeys, the Lord gives him more information on how he's going to fulfill his original promise. Now he starts adding in that Canaan will be the land of his people, and Canaan will be the land that he possesses. And now there's conversation about a covenant between him and God. So the more Abraham obeys, the more God reveals. And that is our journey as believers, as disciples. We obey, we follow Christ. And as we obey, we get more clear on who he's called us to be and how he's called us to be in life and the tasks and assignments in which he's called us to do. I'm sorry to say, your calling will not be completely understood at one moment in time. There is a broad sense, there is a broad understanding that we have and where the Lord is pulling us into, but the intricacies of your calling, the intricacy of each assignment, where he's sending you, the people he's sending you to, the direct people, the exact people he's sending you to, all of that is discovered over time as you continue to say yes to him. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I was verbalizing kind of the next steps the Lord is calling me into. And I had a revelation with her on the phone. I said, I was never this clear about what I was doing. This time last year, I could not communicate to you with this level of clarity what the Lord has called me to do. But because I have chosen to say yes to him, and this past year, and will continue on doing it, because I'm choosing to say yes to him time after time after time again, he's giving me more revelation. He's giving me more clarity. He's giving me more instruction that paints the bigger picture of who he has called me to be. So don't think that you have to know everything to get started. You start on the last thing that he said, on the last instruction that he gave you. When Jesus called his disciples, all he said was, "Follow me." He told Peter, you are a fisherman, but I'll make you a fisher of men. What does that even mean? That's all he said. He said, "Follow me. I'll teach you how to be a fisher of men." What does that look like? I'm sure Peter did not know what the intricacies of that look like. Peter didn't know he was going to be the rock. Peter didn't know that he would be one of the prominent people to build up the early church. He didn't know all of that when he chose to follow Jesus. He trusted Jesus more than the things that he did not understand. So my question to you is, do you trust Jesus more than your need to have every answer? Do you love Jesus more than your love of having everything understood? Faith requires trust. And because we trust in the person, we trust in the one who is guiding us to the future, I don't need to know everything about my future. So this is just my reminder to you and to myself to just say yes and to just obey the last instruction that he gave you. And as you continue to obey, you will receive more clarity. If you don't know it right now, one, he's calling you to seek him more. He's calling you to seek him, to be in his presence, to be in his word, to be with him more. And then two, you probably don't need to know it right now. He is a good father. He gives us good gifts. So what happens when the good gift is not giving us all the information? Can we be satisfied with the fact that the unknowns in our lives are actually good gifts from our Father? Because it is protecting our yes, it is developing a deeper seek, and it is building our dependency on him. That's really what he's after, because this calling isn't supposed to be done in our own strength. We absolutely need him. It's how we were created, to be dependent on him. We were never supposed to have dominion without him. So in every unknown, in everything that we're still trying to understand and figure out, the Lord is calling us into deeper dependence on him. And as humans, this flesh does not like to be needy, even though we are so needy. We need so many things to survive. But when it comes to having to admit that we have weaknesses, that's when all the anxieties and the worries surface, because our soul realizes, wow, I need someone. I need God. So let this be a reminder to you today. Whenever you watch this, you need God. You need Jesus, even in your calling. There are some things about your calling you will not figure out unless you are choosing to follow Christ, because he calls us to himself first. That is our ultimate call. Back to him, back in relationship with him. And then everything we do is a byproduct of our relationship with him. It's a byproduct of our love for him. It is a byproduct of our obedience to him. So obey the last thing the Lord told you. No matter how ridiculous it sounds, no matter how impossible it sounds, he is the God of impossible. What is impossible with man is possible with God. That means every limitation that you are putting on yourself, as you hear what the Lord is telling you to do, you are putting God in a box. You are putting him in restrictions where he has none. Release God from the limits that you are putting over your own life because you don't believe what he's called you to do. So my prayer for you is that your faith arises to the point where you can trust him even when you don't understand, even when it seems impossible, even when it seems like, I don't know how I'm doing this, Lord. Because that's where he shows up and he shows out. Yeah, you're not supposed to understand because you can't get the glory. It is in the impossibilities where God gets to show his glory. That's where his glory is revealed, because no man should be able to do the things that we do when we're fully relying on the Lord and allowing him to move through our lives. That's how he gets the glory, through doing impossibilities through a limited people. That's how his glory is revealed in our lives. What? There's no way you should have this business at this age doing these things with your background? No, I shouldn't. That's how I know the Lord did it in my life. There's no way you should be traveling the world and going to conferences and speaking and interacting with politicians with your background. No. That's how I know the Lord opened these doors. That's how I know He gave me these opportunities. There's no way you should have this level of peace or joy in the situation that you are in. No, that's how I know God is with me. He is Emmanuel. He promised to be with us in every situation. We just have to take His restrictions off. We just have to take the restrictions off of Him. He has no restrictions. We are limiting Him in our minds. May you be free enough to obey Him even when your emotions and your mind tries to limit you. That's all I had for us today. You obey yourself clear. As you obey, the Lord gives more revelation. He gives more insight. He gives more instruction. He gives more wisdom. And by our faith, we enter into all the things that He has had and created for us. So no, you don't need to figure it all out right now. You just need to say yes to the last thing He said and continue to do so. That's all I had for us today. I love you guys so much. Say yes. Keep moving. Rest when He says rest. Go when He says go. Be still when He says be still. These are all instructions. Follow His last instruction and continue to follow the next. And watch how you see the promises of God manifest in your life as you choose to obey Him. I love you. Know that you are deeply loved, that you are chosen, and that you are worthy of the call that is over your life.